Oh my goodness, have you ever seen such an obedient woman? It's like she's got a remote control for her actions. She will fulfill any request given to her by the antagonist, including twisting and dancing. When her sister asked her to be quiet, she literally put her hand on her tongue. And then there's the soldier who told her not to move, and she froze in midair. It's like she's got superpowers, but instead of being a superhero, she's cursed with obedience. If you were to meet such a compliant girl, what would you ask her to do? Welcome back to NIKFLIX, where we're about to embark on a hilarious journey into the magical madness of Enchanted. Show your support by hitting that like button and subscribe. This really helps our channel. Ella, the protagonist of this story, was born into a magical family. She cried all the time. Because of this, instead of getting a magical power to control the elements or fly, she got the talent of obedience from her fairy godmother. This means that Ella must obey any command given to her, even if it goes against her own wishes. Whenever Ella was put into sleep, she closes her eyes. And if someone yells wake up, she's up like a rocket. No more worrying about oversleeping, I suppose. Ella's mother could finally breathe a sigh of relief, knowing that she no longer had to fret about Ella's mischievous behavior. One morning, her mother encouraged her to go downstairs and study. Even though Ella was initially hesitant, surprisingly, her body seemed to have a mind of its own, immediately complying with the command. With her newfound talent, Ella started obeying everyone unconditionally. It's like she's become the ultimate people pleaser. One day at school, she even got into an argument with a classmate, and when her classmate said, "Bite me," she actually bit her arm. I must say, I've never come across such an unusual request before. Ella's mother warns her to keep this gift a secret, fearing that others might exploit her even to her father. Before dying, Ella's mother gives her a necklace. As Ella continues to grow, her father finds himself in need of money and decides to marry a wealthy socialite named Dame Olga. Along with Dame Olga, there are also two stepsisters named Patty and Olive who come to live in Ella's father's house. Patty, one of the stepsisters, finds their assigned room too small and decides to take Ella's room instead. To make matters worse, she even demands Ella's necklace, which Ella reluctantly gives to her. I guess Patty believes in the saying, finders keepers, losers weepers. In the town, Prince Char and his uncle Edgar, who raised him, arrived. Char is a handsome young man who attracts the attention of all the young women. While most of the girls, including Patty and Olive, cheer for him, Ella and her friends chant against him. Ella's distrust of Char stems from her negative perception of his uncle's rule, fearing that he may share the same traits. Patty then orders Ella to go home. Shortly after, the girls chase after Char, who manages to escape from them. By chance, he bumps into Ella and seeks refuge from the pursuing girls. As they talked, Prince Char couldn't help but notice Ella's different behavior towards him, especially since he was used to being admired by many girls. Ella, known for her independent thinking, couldn't hide her disgust and turned her head away. Can't blame her for not being swayed by his narcissistic charms. But here's where the story takes an intriguing turn. The more Ella shows indifference towards the prince, the more he finds himself drawn to her. While Ella simply wants to escape from it all, the prince insists that she stays until his return. In her mind, she perceives it as an order rather than a request. In an unexpected turn of events, as Ella wears a concerned frown, a carriage comes rushing by, posing a dangerous threat to her. Luckily, the prince arrives just in time, rescuing her from harm's way. His heart-pounding moments only serve to deepen Ella's growing resentment towards the curse that shadows her life. Their conversation is abruptly interrupted by Patty, who demands that Ella leave. Patty's intentions are clear, she wants to get closer to the prince. However, much to her disappointment, the prince quickly departs, leaving Patty feeling let down and frustrated. In the marketplace, Ella and her friend come across Patty and Olive. Ella tries to hide, but her attempt fails, and she is spotted. Patty often teases Ella and even asks Ella to steal the crystal shoes. But here's where things get interesting. Ella's body starts moving on its own, despite her efforts to resist. She desperately tries to pull her right hand with her left, but the order is too strong to disobey. In a daring move, Ella manages to stuff the crystal shoes into her bag right in front of a watchful soldier. With the shoes secured, she swiftly tries to make her escape. However, the soldier shouts at her to stop, causing her to freeze in midair. After returning home, Ella is scolded by her stepmother. The stepmother insists that Ella ends her friendship with her best friend. Ella becomes frustrated with this demand, realizing that excessive obedience can be harmful. In response, she takes her fairy tale book and follows its guidance. In her journey to break the obedience curse, Ella ventures into the forest and comes across humans bullying an elf. Determined to help, she steps in, but the man mocks her. Suddenly, a surge of determination fills Ella, and she quickly learns kung fu. With a swift kick and a powerful punch, she defends the elf and knocks out the antagonist. After scaring away the bad guy, Ella successfully saves the elf, who offers to help her find a way to break the obedience curse. Suddenly, they encounter hungry ogres chanting for a good meal. In a brave act, Ella steps into a pot to be cooked, but the prince arrives just in time to defeat the giant. This heroic rescue brings Ella and the prince closer, and they embark on a journey to the land of giants. Seeking the solution to lift the curse, the giants demand that Ella dance and reveal the answer afterward. Despite her initial hesitation, Ella finds herself dancing uncontrollably. As she dances, she jumps into the prince's arms, realizing that love is the key to breaking the curse. The next day, Ella and the prince return to the castle and encounter the prince's uncle. Edgar takes Ella to a small room and discovers that the curse on Ella is not completely lifted. He then presents a dagger and commands Ella to assassinate the prince that night, with the intention of claiming the throne for himself. Despite her inner struggle, Ella reluctantly accepts the dagger and is forbidden from revealing the plan to anyone. Seeking help from the elves, Ella is bound to a tree with chains, unable to free herself until later that night. However, Ella's determination is so strong that she almost uproots the tree in her desperate attempt to break free. Suddenly, a fairy falls from the sky, leaving Ella stunned. It turns out that this fairy was the one who cursed Ella 18 years ago, making her the most obedient girl. Ella pleads with the fairy to lift the curse, but she refuses. Instead, the fairy unlocks Ella's restraints and transforms her into a beautiful white dress, sending her off to the prince's ball. The fairy instructs Ella to take the opportunity to go on a date with the prince and bring the dinner table to the ball. Meanwhile, Prince Charuncle had ordered her to assassinate the prince at midnight. Desperate to avoid him, Ella and the prince find solace on the rooftop, a perfect spot for a proposal. As the clock strikes 12, Ella tearfully confesses her desire to marry the prince. They embrace, both crying not out of happiness, but from the pain of their situation. Ella even picks up the dagger but fights against her urge to harm the prince. Unfortunately, the prince witnesses this scene and the assassination attempt fails. His uncle enters and orders the soldier to take Ella to the dungeon. Char finds it difficult to believe that Ella would ever attempt to harm him. However, Edgar manipulates Char's thoughts, convincing him that the encounter with the ogres in the forest was all part of Ella's sinister plan to get close to him and carry out an assassination. Edgar advises Char to shift his attention to his upcoming coronation ceremony and leave Ella in his hands. The elf discovers that Ella has been captured and imprisoned. With the help of her companions, the elf devises a plan to infiltrate the palace and rescue Ella. The ogres also helps them. Successfully, the elf manages to free Ella from the dungeon. She saw Edgar in the fairy tale book who tries to replace the original crown with a poison one. So Ella quickly rushed to the coronation ceremony hall. As the poison crown is about to place on Char's head, Ella and her friends enters the hall and reveal his uncle's plot to kill him. As tensions escalated, Edgar dispatched his troops. The imminent threat of a large-scale war loomed over the kingdom. In a moment of determination, the prince discarded his royal attire, seizing Garit's formidable longsword, and courageously joined the chaotic battlefield. Amidst the chaos, he managed to locate Ella and urgently inquired about the unfolding events. Engaged in combat, he attentively listened to Ella as she unraveled the intricate details of the situation. In a surprising twist, the uncle admitted that he believed himself to be the king's best choice, while considering the prince to be nothing more than a mere decoration. Seizing the opportunity, he arrogantly claimed the crown for himself and placed it on his head. However, in a hilarious turn of events, he completely forgot that the crown was actually laced with poison. Oh, the irony! It seems the uncle's thirst for power has led him to an unintentionally comical downfall. The story concludes on a high note as Ella and the prince find their happily ever after. They embark on a life filled with joy and love. Additionally, the curse that once plagued Ella is finally broken, freeing her from the constraints of being a good girl. If you enjoyed the video, please remember to subscribe and leave a comment down below. Your support truly means a lot to the channel. Thank you for tuning in.